why is it that so many of us, I mean, pretty much all of us, seem to repeat the same destructive pattern?
We do.
We pour all our energy into fixing what's outside.
Yeah.
The job, the relationship, the budget.
All the external circumstances.
Exactly. But we never seem to take control of the one thing that actually determines if any of that is going to work.
The mind. It's the ultimate failure point. And the symptoms of that failure, they're universal.
What does that look like?
It's that feeling of being constantly pushed around by the world, reacting to noise, jumping for every single notification.
Living your life based on other people's emergencies.
That isn't a symptom of a busy life. That is the direct, predictable result of an untrained mind.
And that's the real pain point, isn't it? If your thinking is weak or just scattered, your emotions don't just influence you.
They run the whole show.
Yeah. You become passive. You start to feel like a passenger in your own life, always falling behind your own goals. We're chasing fixes for the outside when the internal operating system is, frankly, running on fumes.
Precisely. And the goal of this deep dive isn't to give you some kind of temporary hype, not a motivational buzz that's gone by tomorrow morning.
Right.
This is about installing structure. It's about generating clarity and committing to ruthless training.
So what's the foundational truth here?
The absolute truth we have to internalize is this. Nothing outside of you, no setback, no failure, no betrayal, can ever have the power to break you on the inside. If you train your mind to stay clear under pressure. And that's not some nice quote for a coffee mug. It's a law of performance. It's universal.
Okay, so let's unpack that. We're moving beyond just wishing we were tougher.
Oh.
We are actually mapping out the structure required to build a new standard.
A new standard for the mind.
Yeah, a mind that's sharp, that's steady, and that's trained to perform. The kind of person who, when chaos hits, they don't break, they don't panic.
And they don't quit. We can engineer that person.
That's a bold claim.
It is. But the goal here is to detail the precise training plan for it. For building the kind of mindset that performs in chaos and knows how to win, even when all the external signs say winning is impossible.
And where does that training begin?
It begins where every day begins, at the front lines of decision.
The moment you wake up.
The moment your eyes open. That is the training ground. This is where we first encounter what's called the law of the first hour.
Okay.
If you can command and win that first hour, you set the foundation, the entire trajectory for the rest of the day.
I see the trap there immediately because I know what most people do, what I do when I'm not disciplined.
What's that?
You wake up and your mind just drifts. You're replaying yesterday's problems or stressing about tomorrow's.
Or worse.
Or worse, you grab the phone and you let the whole world just flood into your head. That's the passive trap, isn't it?
It's the ultimate surrender.
You've basically handed the pen to the world to write your story before you've even gotten out of bed.
Think of your mind like an engine. Right after you wake up, it's idling. It's just waiting for direction.
And if you feed it junk,
if you feed it scattered thoughts, negativity, other people's priorities from that screen, you spend the entire day just reacting. A strong mind recognizes this vulnerability. It doesn't wait to get hit by the noise.
It's the tone.
It sets an immediate intentional tone. It dictates its environment.
But, okay, this is where the philosophy meets real human resistance. Let's talk about the weaker self problem.
Let's.
What if someone wakes up and they're just genuinely exhausted? Maybe they slept terribly, they're dealing with chronic stress, or just that immediate heavy mental and physical drag.
Yeah.
How do they overcome that?
That's the critical point.
Right. It's easy to say take command, but what do you do when your body is literally fighting you? When the desire to hit snooze and just drift away is overwhelming?
That internal resistance, that isn't a sign of failure. It's the first and most critical test of the day.
Okay.
And you have to understand this deeply. It is not about feeling motivated.
Because you won't.
You will never feel perfectly motivated every single morning. If you wait for the feeling, you have already lost. This is about setting direction, setting clarity. It's based on principle, not on emotion.
So the action isn't based on your mood, which is unreliable. It's based on a non-negotiable intention.
Yes.
So how do we translate that intention into a routine that can actually override fatigue? Give us the tactical advice.
You use the first 5 minutes as an anchor. Before your feet even hit the floor, you create 1 minute of dedicated, deliberate stillness.
So no checking the clock.
You're not checking the clock, you're checking your internal state.
Yeah.
You take 3 intentional, deep breaths that physically breaks the automatic mental drift.
And
Then you speak truth to yourself. And I don't mean empty hype, which relies on a feeling. I mean truth. based on the person you committed to being yesterday.
What does that truth sound like? Is it some kind of mantra?
It's a decision. It sounds like I am committed to staying clear today, or I will push forward regardless of resistance.
I deny energy to useless negative thinking.
Exactly. You are literally grounding yourself. That decision tells the executive part of your brain that you are the one in charge. The moment you act on it, getting up, making the bed, starting that first planned task, you've built a tiny, critical piece of momentum.
That's the essence of it then, owning your life. You choose which thoughts get your attention, and you shut out the rest.
It is the first proof of capability, the first win. And this connects directly to the environment.
The environment connection.
Your physical space is a mirror for your mental space. If you wake up to visual clutter, a messy room, an overloaded desk, you're starting your day with immediate cognitive friction.
Your mind has to work to filter all that chaos out.
A clean, focused space is not a luxury. It's not extra comfort. It is an essential piece of strategic armor for a strong mind.
When your thoughts can breathe, you move with control.
Not with distraction.
And the cost of failing this first test? That's where the compounding effect comes in. We hear about compounding interest in finance all the time.
But there's a brutal compounding effect of mental drift.
Tell me about it.
A weak, passive first hour inevitably leads to a passive day. A day where you're constantly just reacting.
And that passive day becomes a weak week, where your goals just drift further away.
And before you know it, you've lost months of focused progress. It all traces back to not taking command of that 1 hour.
If you don't change the narrative right when you wake up, you spend the whole day just dragging that internal resistance around with you.
Instead of driving your purpose, strong people don't wait for the day to fall apart to get serious. They start serious. And they maintain it.
Okay, so we've commanded the morning, we've won that first hour, but now we have this fragile state of clarity.
And the entire world is waiting to steal it back.
Which brings us to the next strategy, the defense, the barrier of distraction.
Distractions are often treated like they're just minor annoyances.
Yeah, we trivialize them.
But they are not minor. They are genuine, high-friction barriers between where you are and where you want to be.
So every notification, every mindless scroll.
Think of it as a tax, not a choice, a tax. It's a tax on your clarity. It steals your power, and it fragments your attention.
If you want a mind that wins, you have to ruthlessly eliminate what weakens it.
You must.
But the challenge, as we know, is that distractions are masters of disguise. They show up dressed as urgent or important.
Yes, the phone buzzes.
And your brain just screams, I have to respond now. This must be essential.
Someone will be inconvenienced.
So how do we figure out in that moment what's real responsibility versus what's just noise? We need some kind of filter.
You have to install that filter, and you have to be ruthless with it. If something does not directly serve your highest purpose or your goals for that block of time, it is by definition a distraction.
Stop negotiating with the noise.
Stop. You already know what your primary distractions are. You feel that anxious pull away from the important, difficult work.
And what's the long-term cost of constantly switching?
It's the cognitive debt. Every time you switch tasks or answer a notification, it takes significant time and energy for your brain to fully re-engage with the deep work you just left.
So we're not just losing the 30 seconds it took to read that text.
You're losing minutes of deep focus while your brain has to reload the entire previous task.
Which is why you can end the day feeling busy but completely empty.
That's the illusion of busyness. Busy means your mind is jumping frantically, reacting, solving low-value problems. You end the day exhausted, burnt out, but you've achieved nothing of real consequence.
Toward your actual purpose.
Focused work, on the other hand, is quiet. It's clear. And it produces tangible, compounding results.
You can be busy checking boxes for other people, or you can be focused on building your own foundation.
The first one drains you, the second one fills you up and sharpens your mind.
So let's talk about that focused work state.
Yeah.
Practically, what does a strong defense look like?
The practical defense strategy. It relies on setting boundaries of time and physical space. You establish non-negotiable blocks of deep work. 90 minutes is a good place to start.
And during that time,
nothing gets in. The phone is in airplane mode. In another room, email tabs are closed. Do not check, do not switch, do not react. Just do the one thing that matters.
That requires serious discipline, especially now when the line between work and communication has just completely dissolved.
It requires guarding your mental space like you would guard your house.
You wouldn't leave the front door wide open for strangers to just wander in.
Yet we do that mentally every few minutes. by leaving notifications on. We have to understand, most intrusions, we're talking 99% of the digital noise, it's just the world's desperate attempt to feel important.
And when you're deliberate about your focus, you're training the mind to push through boredom.
Which is a necessary step before you can get to deep effort. You are building self-trust. You're following through on your own intention to focus.
So if that was all defense, what's the offense?
The offense is about actively getting stronger, not just waiting for life to get easier. This is the central law of toughness.
Which is?
True toughness is earned. It's built by deliberately doing what feels uncomfortable, daily. Not just occasionally, and certainly not only when it's convenient.
You can't have strength without struggle.
Or progress without pressure. It's impossible.
Intellectually, I think everyone gets that. We all want the growth. But the second we hit that pain barrier, that wall of resistance,
the mind becomes an expert at generating excuses.
I'm too tired. It's not the right time. This is just unnecessary.
Yeah.
So if discomfort is so universally avoided, why is it the only path to real sustainable growth?
Because discomfort performs a function that comfort never can. It shows you who you really are.
How so?
It surfaces your deepest doubts, your hidden excuses, your fears. It is ruthlessly honest with you. If you stay inside the bubble of comfort, your potential is just theoretical. It's locked away. You stay soft.
Vulnerable to the first real storm.
But by choosing to walk through that doubt, by taking the hard step anyway, you prove capability to yourself. You are actively expanding your tolerance for stress.
Not by wishing it was wider, but by physically and mentally pressing against the glass.
Exactly.
So the mistake we make is thinking this training requires some kind of massive, epic challenge.
Absolutely. The small daily applications are the bricks that build real grit. Toughness isn't just built climbing a mountain.
It's built in the small, consistent, inconvenient acts.
Choosing the path that demands more effort when the easy one is right there.
Getting up at the time you committed to, even when your body screams no.
Pushing through the last few reps when your mind starts begging you to stop.
Or having that hard conversation you've been avoiding.
Yes. And the mechanism at play here is a direct fight between your will and your motivation.
Motivation being the feeling. Volatile. Temporary.
And will being the steady engine. When you do what you actively don't feel like doing, you prove to yourself unequivocally that your feelings are passengers.
They aren't the driver.
That is the moment where self-trust is fundamentally built. Moods are unreliable. Discipline and will are not.
So we're basically injecting managed hardship into our daily routine.
You're immunizing yourself against the shock of major setbacks. It's practice for when the stakes are real.
The days you want to quit but don't. Those are the days that change your identity.
They teach you who you are. A person who doesn't run from pressure, but walks straight toward it.
And that strength has to be built on a foundation of integrity.
It means nothing without it. Building a strong mind is the same thing as becoming someone whose words mean something, especially to yourself.
Self-integrity.
Say what you mean and mean what you say. It's the bedrock of mental health and performance.
What's the psychological cost when we're misaligned, when our words and actions don't match up?
Every time you fail to follow through on a promise you made to yourself, small or large, you are weakening your belief in your own capacity. This creates the danger of the gap.
The gap between word and action.
And that gap grows into profound frustration,
Yeah.
paralyzing self-doubt. Eventually, it just becomes your psychological normal. You train yourself to ignore your own intentions.
And the mental energy you spend just excusing yourself or hiding from your failures.
It's enormous.
Let's talk about the small promises, the everyday ones. I'll start dinner early. I'll finally look at my budget tonight. They seem so inconsequential. Why do those tiny failures matter so much?
Because your brain is a ledger, and it is always watching. It's always keeping score.
It doesn't distinguish between a big career goal and just putting the laundry away.
It registers one thing: inconsistency. If you repeatedly prove to your mind you can't be trusted with the small things, why should it believe you when you set a massive life-changing goal?
But when your words and actions do align,
Your mind is freed from the stress of that internal negotiation. And that simplicity, that is strength. You stop needing outside approval because your internal foundation is solid. It's verified by your own actions.
that leads to the ultimate test.
Finishing.
Right. Anyone can start something. Starting is easy, it's new, it's exciting.
Finishing is the great separator. The winners push through when the excitement is gone, when the effort gets real, when the task becomes boring or tedious or frustrating.
Explain the danger of the quitting pattern. Why does the mind get so comfortable with quitting?
The brain is programmed for energy efficiency. If quitting becomes the habitual response to discomfort, the mind just streamlines that process.
So it learns, this is the pattern we follow when things get hard.
And once that's repeated, it starts to define your identity. You sacrifice self-respect and discipline for temporary relief. The solution isn't a new strategy.
It's building the habit of follow-through.
On everything, big and small. You have to finish a task you didn't feel like finishing to provide irrefutable proof to yourself that your feelings do not control the outcome.
So the true measure of our strength isn't taken when life is smooth.
Never. It's taken in the moment of truth. When plans fall apart, when you hit a major setback, when you get that unexpected negative news.
And the common reaction is?
Panic, complaint, blame. That's the mindset that stops growth and guarantees things will get worse.
We've all been there. A business fails, a sudden loss. The immediate reaction is to spiral. We catastrophize.
You run a destructive script.
I'm ruined. I can't recover. This is impossible. So what is the immediate practical tool to stop that script from running?
You must employ the winner's pause. Strong minds have trained themselves to pause, to reset, and to immediately ask better questions.
You have to stop that initial emotional flood.
You have to catch the thoughts immediately and refuse to feed the drama. Your emotions are designed to magnify the problem. They'll make it feel 10 or 100 times bigger than it really is.
So we pause, maybe take a breath.
Yeah.
But then what are those better questions that interrupt the emotional story?
The questions have to be rooted in power, not victimhood. They reset the focus to what you can actually do.
Like what?
Like, what is the single most important thing I can learn from this right now? What piece of this is still entirely within my control?
What is the immediate next step, no matter how small?
Exactly. If the thoughts you're having aren't true, and they aren't helping you solve the problem, they are stealing your strength. You have to replace them.
With truthful, strength-based affirmations. But I worry that can sound a little like empty self-help.
That's why they must be rooted in truth. This isn't about pretending things are fine. It's about anchoring yourself to reality and to your commitment.
So it sounds like I am not quitting. I decide when this is over.
Or, I have the capacity to make this right. I have been through worse and I grew from it. This all ties into the dominant thought principle.
Which is?
Your life moves in the direction of your dominant, sustained thoughts. If you think I'm done, you are. If you believe I will find the path, you create the conditions to find it.
The situation gives you the challenge, but your mindset decides the outcome.
And that responsibility forces clarity. You stop focusing on the unfairness of it all and start focusing on the next small action. You are not allowed to stay weak.
So when that real pressure hits, the untrained person just tenses up.
They make rushed, panic-driven decisions. They let fear take the wheel. The trained mind understands that calmness is control.
And you're saying calmness isn't weakness or passivity.
It is the definition of extreme control. It's the ability to stay steady, sharp, and effective when everything around you is spinning violently.
That seems like an impossible superpower for most people facing, say, overwhelming debt or a massive deadline. How do we get that kind of stillness?
It starts with training awareness daily. You have to train yourself to catch the subtle shifts that happen right before panic sets in.
The racing thoughts, the quick breathing, the tension in your jaw.
That tension is a signal. It's a physiological response to a threat, but you do not have to follow the panic script.
You have to create space.
Deliberate space between the stimulus, the bad news, and your response. Most people let their minds run wild, playing out worst-case scenarios that haven't even happened. You have to step back and ask, is this movie in my head real, or is this just fear projecting?
So we use daily frustrations as resistance training. It's our mental gym.
Absolutely. Those are your micro-training opportunities. Use the frustration of traffic, an unexpected delay, a rude comment. Use it to practice calm thinking.
Because if you can't stay composed when someone cuts you off in traffic,
You certainly won't stay calm when a major deal falls through. Every time you catch yourself before reacting with anger or stress and instead choose a purposeful response, you're building that muscle.
and what's the strategic advantage of that calmness in a high-stakes environment?
Calm thinkers conserve energy. Frantic energy is wasted on emotional reactivity and drama.
They save their mental horsepower for analysis and action.
They see solutions that stress blinds others to because their vision is sharper, clearer. They move with confidence because they're operating from logic, not just adrenaline.
And that steadiness,
Yeah.
it makes you a presence.
When the room is spinning, people look to the person who isn't losing their mind. You become the anchor, and that presence is invaluable.
So let's talk about maintenance. because we all know that old habits die hard.
We need to acknowledge the guarantee. Old habits never truly disappear, they just wait.
They wait for you to be tired, stressed, or distracted.
And because they feel familiar and they're the path of least resistance, you fall right back into them if you're not aware.
So the old habit shows up, let's say mindlessly scrolling social media the moment the work gets hard. What's the first step?
Awareness, not guilt. That is the response. The trap is thinking you failed the moment the old habit returns.
That's not failure.
That's simply the old pattern testing your new resolve. You step in with awareness and you call it out. That is the old script trying to run. I see you.
And we know just saying no to a bad habit doesn't really work. It just creates a vacuum.
Exactly. That is the key to change. Replacement. You can't just say no. You must immediately replace the old pattern with a better option, one that supports the disciplined self you're trying to build.
So you replace delay with a tiny action. You replace escape with presence.
You replace self-pity with movement. You are retraining your system to prefer what's better. The old path loses its grip, not because it vanishes, but because you stop feeding it your energy.
And what about the slip-up protocol? Because we're human, we will slip up.
Yeah.
We'll have a weak moment. How do you prevent that one slip from derailing a whole week?
Failure's not when the habit returns for a moment. Failure is when you spiral after the slip.
Using it as an excuse to quit entirely. I'll start again on Monday.
Growth doesn't respect the calendar. If you slip, your single most important job is to course correct immediately. Not in 5 minutes, not in an hour, right now.
Stop giving the mistake so much power.
Interrupt the self-shaming pattern by choosing the new response. You reinforce the new identity, someone who follows through even after a setback.
It's like mental triage. Stop the bleeding and get back on course.
You have to protect your new habits like they are your identity.
Yeah.
Because they are.
And this all leads to a deeper kind of integrity.
Yes. Anyone can do the right thing when everyone is watching. That gets you applause. It feeds the ego. But that's not the real measure of strength.
The real test is what you do when no one is around.
When nobody's clapping. When there is absolutely no immediate, visible reward for your effort. That is the real test of character.
And that is a huge challenge in a world driven by social media, by likes, by external validation. How do you stay motivated when there's no audience?
That need for external validation, it's a form of psychological dependence. Real growth happens when you shift your focus and start to live for principle, not for approval.
The internal standard.
You perform to respect yourself and the standard you've set, not to impress anyone else. You show up and give your best, because that's the person you have decided to be.
So the most important wins are the ones nobody ever sees.
The unseen wins. The quiet, small daily choices. Finishing a task properly when you know nobody will check the details.
Staying honest when a lie would be easier.
Putting in the extra 30 minutes when there's no applause waiting. This consistency in private, it builds a confidence that is unshakable because it's built on irrefutable proof to yourself.
You must free up so much mental energy. You're not constantly worried about managing perceptions or cutting corners.
You are free from the stress of pretense. You build a voice of internal truth that is steady. That quiet power doesn't need to shout for approval. It just moves forward.
And the key to all of this seems to be repetition.
The vast majority of people spend their lives looking for new tricks, new hacks, some secret shortcut. But the boring, brutal truth is that it's not the new thing that changes you. It's the basics.
And what are they?
Real transformation comes from repeating the simple, fundamental actions daily until they become automatic.
These are the overlooked routines, aren't they? Waking at a set time, planning the day, daily reflection, focused effort.
They feel too small, too mundane to be the key.
So why do we chase intensity instead of simplicity?
Because simplicity requires consistency, and consistency can feel boring. People equate complexity with effectiveness. They want the high-intensity burst because it gives an immediate emotional payoff.
But the burst always fades.
And this is the expert warning. The reason most people fail is they don't stick to the basics long enough for them to actually work. They try for a few days, feel the effort, get bored.
And they quit, chasing the next new thing.
So mastery isn't built through emotional intensity. It's built through ordinary actions done with extraordinary consistency.
The person who shows up every day with 70% effort will always beat the person who shows up once with 100%.
Always. Repetition is how you communicate with your mind. Every time you perform a disciplined act, you send a clear message to your brain about what matters.
And this triggers the identity shift.
Over time, the brain trusts your direction. It stops fighting you. You stop needing to negotiate with yourself. You just do it. The basics are no longer things you have to do.
They're just what you do. They become your identity.
And that's when the real leverage kicks in. You've outsourced the effort to habit. Your strength is no longer built on unreliable motivation. It's built on daily, unsexy, non-negotiable practice.
Okay, so let's bring this all together. We've detailed this necessary shift from focusing on the external world to seizing command of our internal state. And we've identified 3 cornerstones.
The first is command. Winning that first hour. Establishing direction and clarity right when you wake up. Refusing to let the passive self set the tone for the day.
A decision rooted in principle, not in feeling. The second is integrity. Building that undeniable self-trust by confronting discomfort and actually finishing what you start.
Closing the gap between what you say and what you do. And the third is resilience, the art of responding. Choosing calm, strategic progress over panic and collapse when things go wrong.
So this journey isn't about one big life-changing moment.
It's not about a perfect plan.
It's about the daily choice to choose better, to choose structure, and to just keep showing up, especially when it's boring or hard and no one is watching.
And that consistency is precisely what makes success predictable. If you keep showing up and doing the required work, the results will show up too. This isn't philosophy. It's the observed structure of every high-performing life.
So here's the final thought to take with you. The highest form of freedom is not doing whatever you want whenever you want. The highest form of freedom is doing what serves your highest self without being pulled back by old destructive patterns.
You can't control when the storm hits, but you can absolutely control the anchor of discipline you have built inside.
So the question remains for you today.
Are you still waiting for life to get easier, or are you finally ready to commit to becoming fundamentally stronger? The training starts now.